Along with my nephew Sting, we spent hours collecting sea glass from the Barcelona beach, where there was so much being washed up every day. When I got home, I placed it inside these mason jars with these little lights that just so perfectly showed off all the colors. Welcome to Creative Wandering, the home of videos for dailycreatives.com, where I'm trying to answer the question how to design a lifestyle you don't need a vacation from. We covered 4 continents, 19 countries, and 35 cities. Now we are happy to be back home in Canada. Check out dailycreatives.com. 2 times per week I will update the blog with interesting perspectives, cooking, projects, designing a life I don't need a vacation from. With Sting in town, we made a point of visiting some tourist attractions. We are in the middle of it all here in Port Val. We have the marina, we're close to the beach, which means we're not the only ones that enjoy this kind of location. This Gothic quarter of Barcelona is a very old part of the city. The buildings are extremely close together and they're very old. Back home, we're used to living in the suburbs of Vancouver. We have a big yard with a high degree of privacy. While Sting was here, my nephew from Calgary, we took advantage of our location by getting up before the sun one morning. Once over at Barcelona beach, we realized we were not the only ones. Some people were doing yoga, others were meditating. There was even a group taking an early morning swim. Anticipated for the whole year, these special treats are available for only 2 weeks in the fall. Then they are gone. They are a sweet symbol of a Christian tradition which has turned into a festival in modern times. This week is all about the food of Barcelona, which I am very passionate about. We were invited to a special lunch on All Saints' Day. It was kind of a potluck. This was a special meal where paella was the main event for a guest list of 22 people. Unlike back home, where a barbecue holds the central position of backyard cooking, at this house, a paella burner was the main outside cooking vessel. And in fact, this family would cook paella every Sunday as a big family meal. We started around 2 p.m. There was some small tapas, then drinks. You could have sangria or maybe some cava. Then moving on to the main event, paella. We actually got two kinds. The one that is shown in the video was the meat kind, and not to be mixed with the black one that was made of squid ink and was full of seafood. One of my favorite food shopping experiences. Okay, here we have a little bit of how-to for making my Spanish style go-to meal that we've been having so many nights. Starting with the leeks, which I'm adding to the chopped onions. Next, I'll work on the cabbage. Also in the mix is celery and carrots. And then a thing that I'm not used to having is radishes. Gonna add a bit of olive oil here to the pot. Garlic going in, just whole cloves. Because the vegetables are all put aside on a plate, they're easy to add as I need to in sections. And then basically add whatever type of meat seems good. These are little tiny chorizo sausages. It's hard to say, since I haven't used them before, how salty they'll be, so I'm not going to add a whole bunch of extra spice. I will add a little bit of pepper, then some soup cubes, and a bunch of water. I'll come back after it simmers for a while, adding some white beans that you can see on the side there, and some rice, which will bulk it up nicely. Some say that the city of Barcelona is 5,000 years old. Others attribute the founding myths to Hercules, which would predate Rome. What is for certain is the history of this place is long and complicated. Barcelona is the seat of power in Catalonia, and maybe some of this history underscores the need for independence today. Catalonia is fiercely proud of everything produced in the region, from historical industries, the geographical locations, and even the people. Internationally, outside of sports, which I know nothing about, no one is more well known than Antoni Gaudí, and particularly his magnum opus work on Sagrada Familia. Gaudí had deep appreciation for his native land and great pride in his Mediterranean heritage. Okay, now for my top 10 list. I'm going to start at the bottom with the things that possibly could have been slightly different, maybe with better planning, and then moving up to the things that we wouldn't have changed for anything. Number 10. While the city workers did their level best to overcome this by cleaning the streets each day with a water wand, yet there can still be an unpleasant odor in the narrow streets of the old city. Some people also don't pick up after their dogs, so you have to watch out for that. Number 9 is the Catalan political crisis, as I suppose it's come to be known. When we first arrived, we thought it was just going to be a voting day. We were going to be part of history, which in the end we were. It was a little bit more than we'd bargained for. We didn't feel in danger at any time, even though we think that the world news media made it sound far more dangerous here than it was. Certainly companies pulling out of the region, tourists canceling their trips, all of that was a bit of an overreaction, we think, from where we sit. Nonetheless, it was very exciting. Number 8 is we didn't realize how strong the euro would be to the Canadian dollar. And to some degree, the trip was booked, so it's irrelevant. But I also think it was some adjustment to walking through the streets and seeing people sitting on the terraces, eating tapas and drinking cava. That looked like a lot of fun. And of course, we couldn't do that. We were living here. We weren't on vacation. Number 7 was the lack of appliances in our flat, which I already mentioned in a blog post and maybe a video. Annoyances that were hard to get used to. Not having a dryer for the clothes, not having an oven to bake stuff in. Not a deal breaker. Number 6 is the length of the stay we planned here might have been a little too long. In the beginning, it seemed like 2 months would be great, time to adjust to life on the road, be living in an urban center, and getting used to being in such close proximity to each other. But we probably could have left around the 6-week mark when the weather started to turn cooler into fall. But it's probably just as well that we stayed here the length we did, because Fisher ended up going on dates and even meeting a fellow music producer where he had a studio session. Number 5, the food and festivals were beyond our expectations. The quality of the fruits and vegetables was better than anything we even could find in our farmers markets back home. Then you add the bread, the olive oil, Iberian ham, the cava, the sangria, the rosé wine for €2, and then the opportunity to enjoy the never-ending festival season was really an amazing thing. Number 4 is the architecture on the city planning. We are getting used to these winding back streets of the old city, but even now, after almost 2 months, we can still take a turn and find ourselves in a place we haven't been before or we don't recognize. There's interesting shops everywhere. If you happen to walk down that little street the last time during siesta, it might have been closed, so then you come by at another time and it's open. It's all really, really, really cool. And then the metro is laid out so well that you can get to all these places. And your 10-day pass metro card even allows you to get up on the funicular to some of the mountainsides. The history of Barcelona is something I never really knew. The importance as a location on the Mediterranean, the importance to Spain, the importance to all of Europe, quite honestly, it is impressive. Number 2, there is a carefree attitude with the residents of Barcelona. That is notable because of the political situation going on here, and you would think the stress of that would cause people to act quite strangely, and it really hasn't. All of the demonstrations that we have seen for the residents of Barcelona have been extremely peaceful. It took us getting used to this laid-back attitude because we're from a Nordic country where we are guilty of getting pretty upset about minor day-to-day trifles. Number 1 on any list for Barcelona is the beach, and my list is no exception. I loved walking down during siesta, warming my bones for a couple of hours on the beach. Thanks for watching our recap video from the last weeks of our time in Barcelona. For more inspiration, don't forget to check out dailycreatives.com. See you over there.